Sprint's canoe coaching is heading into a new era with new techniques, a more scientific outlook, a new approach to winning. This coaching program has been designed by the Australian Canoe Federation to assist you in your further development. Remember, individuals are all different. What may suit one person may not be appropriate for another, but we're sure you will pick up plenty of tips.
I think that too many people overcomplicate race preparation. It is really a rather simple thing. I think you have to look at the demands of the race or the event. What is required of this particular event? Is it power or speed or endurance? And then work it out from there. If you divide the preparation into three segments, a psychological preparation, a physiological preparation and a technical preparation, then you can't go wrong. Technical, obviously, because you need to be able to paddle efficiently. You need maximum boat run, maximum speed for an efficient stroke. And the psychological preparation gives you a positive attitude and an enthusiastic attitude to training and racing. And of course, when you come down to conditioning, you need to just get the balance between what is required, how much endurance work, how much strength work, and how much speed work.
To be a top competitor, efficiency of the stroke is of the utmost importance. Allowing for individual differences, several points should be considered when discussing technique. According to the latest studies, the angle of the attack of the blade is between 48 and 53 degrees. Angle of the body varies according to the paddler's natural posture. Champion K1 500-meter paddler Martin Hunter, for example, has a lean forward which enables him to get over the catch. Whereas Anna Wood achieves the same effect in an upright position. It is most important, however, that there is no backward lean. The blade should not travel backwards. The boat and the paddler should try to move past the blade in the water. The design of the propeller wing enables the paddler to more effectively lock on so that maximum force can be applied to the blade in the water. The body then starts to twist back, with the blade being kept relatively close to the boat, but always looking for new water. The timing of the twist must occur as the load is on the blade. The timing must be precise. The body accelerates past the blade with hands and arms merely an attachment to the paddle. At the end of the stroke, which is when the hand is approximately aligned with the hip, the hand is allowed to drift away from the boat in a J motion. The top hand stops its forward motion and the bottom hand is lifted from the water. The bottom elbow is kept down so that the blade is rolled out of the water. The angle of the exit and the movement of the wrist determines how much water is caught on the blade during the exit phase. During the recovery phase, the upper arm muscles and hand are relaxed, allowing recuperation between pulls. This allows for a more efficient start to the next stroke. Here are some other points to consider in the execution of the stroke. Leg drive is important because the force from the paddle is transferred to the boat via the legs. The correct amount of foot pressure is essential in order to prevent the boat from rolling side to side. Balance is best perfected by time in the boat. It is not possible to paddle correctly if the paddler does not have good balance. It is important to be relaxed and not fight against the natural roll of the boat. Paddlers are often told to lead with the wrist. The wrist should be secure and firm at the entry and exit of each stroke. As an integral part of the leverage system, the elbow must be aligned with the body so that the stroke is biomechanically correct. Major faults are that the elbow is too wide during the stroke and is lifted too early at the exit. Here are some common faults in technique and a few tips on how to correct them. Fishtailing occurs when the force applied to the paddle is in a sideways motion, that is, away from the boat at the catch of the stroke. The coach should emphasize an even controlled body twist in order to eliminate the side movement of the hips. Another point which may help to correct this problem is to ensure that the paddler is entering and exiting at the same length and distance from the boat on either side. Unequal side-to-side motion of the kayak usually occurs with the contraction of the side muscles in a downward direction. It may also be leg pressure pushing the side of the boat down. This affects the side angle of the blade as it enters the water and therefore influences the effectiveness of the catch. This usually occurs when the paddler's bottom hand pulls too long and as a consequence pulls the top hand down or gripping the paddle unequally, thus allowing one end to be longer than the other. A good way to achieve correct arm height is to line the hand up with a point on the horizon, between a little above or a little below shoulder height. Water caught in the blade at the end of the stroke will cause the porpoising motion. This usually results from a shallow entry that causes the paddler to go deeper as the stroke progresses and ultimately leads to the blade getting stuck at the end of the stroke. The paddler should enter deep and keep the blade vertical and at the same depth through the stroke. Wrist movement should be minimized. Porpoising could also result from the stroke being too long and too close to the boat or excessive leg drive. Sitting position varies from paddler to paddler. However, one of the most common faults is the arching of the back and the slumping of the body, causing a restriction in the airflow and limiting the full use of the body in the execution of the stroke. To set up the race and overcome inertia requires tremendous strength.
Take Martin Hunter, for instance, the '89 world champion. He works with weights up to 2 days before the first event of his competition. Yet a number of the other people will take up to a week off before they go to competition. This allows them full recovery and they feel a lot better for that. They seem to get better strength. Weights are very much an individual thing where we have different people have different requirements and therefore each person should be looked at individually and then dealt with on that basis.
Kayaking is generally an individual sport and it is not until close to competition that team boats are constructed. A number of coaching points should be identified with regard to team boats. The timing of the competitors, the length of the stroke through the boat, the stability of the boat.
A lot of team boat training tends to tire the individuals out. I've worked on a formula between three in the singles, 3 to 4 in the singles, to 1 in the double, or 1 in the 4.
In developing team boats, it is useful to look at the relative qualities of each of the seat positions. The front seat paddler in both the K2 and K4 needs a cool head. They need to be a thinker, a good racer, and have excellent technique. Seat 2 in the K2 and seats 2, 3, and 4 in the K4 are the engine room. They must be able to keep in time. Seats 3 and 4 in the K4 must have the skill to do more work than is presented to them. The back seat in both the K2 and K4 is the most awkward due to the width of the boat. They must have the ability to chase work to get a good catch. Special consideration must be given when coaching junior paddlers. Paddles should be selected to suit individual ability of the athlete in order to enhance the development of correct technique. Particular emphasis should be given to the length of the paddle and the paddle area. When combining juniors in team boats, it is important not to overtrain them, but to work on technique as a team. The coach should concentrate on the catch, the length of the stroke, use of the body, and timing.
I probably find the best way to get talent identification for myself is to go around to the different surf carnivals, because we live very close to the coast, and talk to the club coaches and look at the guys on skis and have a little chat to them and get them into the kayaks just once a week, twice a week to get their feeling, and probably just work from there, and that's how we've had our numbers. Other people can use a different form of identification, but being very close to the coast and surf life saving being so strong in numbers, you know, it's a perfect nursery for us. I just look for the person that's very relaxed on the ski or in the boat, and probably put them in without a seat in the kayak for the start, and just let them go easy, not do anything too hard, and work on basic technique. And they soon come out of the woodwork, the ones that are able to cope. But in particular with the younger ones, I really think it's a basic hands-on type coaching and time on the water. Probably 4 to 5 paddles a week, and some cross-training to keep a young mind active and not kind of get too bogged down with going up and down the course twice a day, 7 days a week.
Race plans are developed from the strengths of the individual. Martin Hunter in lane 1 has tremendous strength and experience. By going out extremely hard, he is placing pressure upon the other competitors to catch him. Controlled efforts throughout are a feature of his race and result in continuing pressure upon the other paddlers and maintenance of maximum boat speed. Just as it's important to have a race plan, it is also important to have a training plan and not to overdo it.
Well, in terms of overdoing it, of course, people tend to train too hard. They think they go faster, that you must train harder and harder and harder, and of course that only leads to injury anyway and a bit of overtraining, which turns people off and they become a little disenchanted with it all. But they overcomplicate things by involving too many intensities in training. They get confused between what long interval work is, what short interval work is, what speed work is, what endurance work is, and they don't understand, in fact, what is required and what the training session does for their athletes. And so they introduce a whole lot of different training regimes which are really not important, not necessary.
Relaxed, deep breathing plays a most important role prior to and during the race. Regular starting practice is needed whilst training, as time lost at the start of a race can seldom be recovered. There are many ways to start, some being more beneficial than others depending on your size, style and power. A lot of competitors point the nose of their boat just off-center before taking the first stroke. This allows the paddler to be running straight after the second stroke. If you would like more information, contact the Australian Canoe Federation, the Australian Coaching Council or your State Intensive Training Centre.
It's the push from, at the start, the Australian Sports Commission, the Australian Canoe Federation, as well as the coaching network for canoeing, to involve as many coaches as possible in the sport, especially in the sports science area, so that we have all the developing paddlers coming through with all the goods, so that Australian canoeing can benefit over the short term and the long term.